Hello and welcome to episode 64 of Let's Talk Tactics. I'm your host, Bro.
And Daniel Boone.
And we have a rerun this week of Thancred and Y'shtola and a couple, I think these are brand new Final Fantasy 14 vision card, not these, but reruns of old ones plus a new one. So the Scions of Twilight card, as well as some goodies for Renan from last week. And actually, I think that's where we'll start off. Did you break and pull for Renan?
I did, yeah. I actually
So
had to
did I.
pity him.
So did I.
Yeah, it's
It
terrible.
sucked, man.
I regret.
Well, I don't regret. He's a lot of fun, but definitely rough. I was hoping to get him a little sooner. I went to like half pity, and then afterwards I'm like, I'm gonna just want him like at some point, and like I'm not gonna be able to pull him in the future unless I get really lucky. So like I'll just go now. I calced the amount of time I have until Barris comes out, who's my next like major target, and I should be okay because I think there's a water crystal unit next, right, and then ice, if I remember
Yeah, it's
correctly.
like Alstoria.
Yeah, that one. Whatever everyone is saying is going to work with Celeste. They are the next one. So I have at least 2 months to save up
Oh yeah.
again, which honestly I've only been saving for 2 months anyway, so I can get to back to where I was.
Celestoria.
Tell the story. Yeah, whatever the couple name they've come up with there. um, oh, what have your impressions been of Renan so far? Because I know we wanted to go deeper last week, but it kind of ran long, so we cut it a little short. But have you seen him on mono lightning teams at all? Have you not even seen him maxed? Have you seen him in like free matches? Anything you've experienced?
I haven't been able to do much free matching lately, but I've seen him a lot in arena, and I've used him a lot, and I like besides how much spirit he has against like magic attackers. The fact that he has his barrier that he probably will use first turn, like he can survive more than a hit, even against like earth units.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that really, like, as long as he has the chance to use like one skill, he's gonna do a lot of damage unless it's against earth units, which it
Sure.
might take like 25 to 50% of their life depending. But I mean, you can't really ask for much more. Like my win team, like I was using in last class match, like when I went up against the ice teams I went up against, like I barely scratched them. So, I mean, the fact that he's still doing enough damage, yeah, I think he's worth it.
Yeah, and I did mention that he got some toys this week. Let's actually talk about those first. So we'll go
Okay.
into the Esper Europa, and also its card, the Voltaic Mecha Guard Europa. We'll start with the Vision card. These are always a little easier to kind of digest. HP 274, Magic 182, Agility 3. Pretty solid stats. The HP is not like super high, but with such a high magic stat and some agility on it, I'll take the lower HP. On Bestow, we have increased magic by 10%, HP 5%, Spirit 5, and skill activation time. Well, attack skill activation time 100. Now, the way this is spaced out here, I think it is just 100, right?
Yeah.
Because it's 0, 0, 100, but that's just how the spirit is split up based on the, awakening, maxing, and all that. It's interesting that you don't get any of the activation time on Bestow until it's maxed, is what this says. Very strange. It's almost like the party max ability, except on the Bestow.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but I mean that's what the data is saying here.
I think that's the first time we've seen that actually.
I do as well. Yeah, it's really strange. Normally, I would expect maybe like 40-40 and then like the 20 caps off, or 40-20 and 40 caps off or something. But whatever. Party effect wise, we get the magic attack 35, as well as agility 8% as the sort of half party effect. And then when you max it, you get critical damage 25 for, and this is all for lightning party members only. The crit damage is kind of cool if you were to put like this on Renan and have him like in a party with Frederica and Nivlu or something, or Layart. Like
Cloud. Pretty
Cloud.
much
I,
anybody.
I forget about Cloud because I don't have him, but yes, Cloud
Velna.
is more realistically it's gonna be Cloud Frederica Renan, right? Yeah, you're just critting like crazy from downtown with sharpshoots and barrages and stuff, and like just having that extra crit damage. I mean, 25 is a lot because it's a multiplier. So, I always would prefer crit chance just because I'd rather just crit more often, but the crit damage is pretty cool. I think we actually have crit chance on a lightning card already though. I just don't remember which card it is. But yeah, what do you think of this card overall? I mean, I'm a fan. Like the split, like the stats are obviously small on the bestow, but that's kind of how we've had it a lot recently. But it's still 4 relevant effects, so I
I
definitely
think
like it. And then the little bit of agility is nice on the party effect as well.
I'm trying to remember what the Scorpion Sentinel party effect was because I know it's attack up, but I think it's either like hybrid crit up or crit damage up, and I'm trying to.
It's
I'm
hybrid crit
wondering.
rate,
Great. Okay, cool. So like
13%.
this, I was like, this either synergizes really well with that, or it's like overlapping and it's not as well. But I'm gonna go with the first one. It synergizes really well with that. The fact that like it kind of reminds me. It's not as good as the Bahamut VC, obviously, but the magic attack up, the hybrid agility, and then the crit damage. Like it's like a normal cost version almost of that, without even going into the bestowed, like the useful, like uh, like skill activation timed out. Um, I mean, crit damage on units that crit all the time, anyways, is just even like you're always going to be able to use this, and I feel like it kind of jumps up to one of the like high priority lightning vision cards, and I mean that's not really saying much because there's just not really many lightning vision cards. So this if you're like if lightning is like your like top element, like this is like a godsend basically.
If you planned on hybridizing teams with Renan, would you want this card even just for himself, or would
Yeah,
you only want this
absolutely.
for lightning teams?
Absolutely. Like the agility and the crit damage is enough.
So did you pull for it?
No, not yet. 'Cause
Okay.
it's not limited.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm so stuck on it because it does seem like something that I would really want on him. Although you can justify like Ramu's not awful on him because it is the magic 50% and it's not
Yeah.
element locked, so he could go on mixed magic teams. Then again, though, Ramu's party effect being the like max damage cap up, I'm like, come on, like I just want something else. Like I feel like that should be a later game thing. Like no card should have that right now.
I mean, it's good for raids,
It's for
but
PVE, but fuck
yeah,
PVE.
exactly.
I'm being uber selfish PvP player here. Maybe that's why we don't get any content. So we'll go into spicy comments aside. Let's go into the Esper of Europa though. Do you want to talk about this one, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, I don't mind. So the 3-star Europa, I usually like to start with the status effect resistance. So
Yeah.
he gets blinds 25%, or it whatever. Europa gets the 25% blind resistance bestowed to whoever's using it. Not really that useful. Like we've mentioned before with the Espers that grant blind resistance. You don't really see it pop up too often, but um, I mean it's like you're never gonna be like, I hate this unless it's I don't know, something stupid like I can't even think of what resistance you're not gonna like kind of
Well, like blind is a lot like immobilize. You
yeah,
don't
like when it
you don't
hits
think it's very strong until it happens to you. And you're like,
and you're just like,
fuck
oh
this. Like this. I actually had in my guild battle yesterday. My opponent and I immobilized each other, and his Charlotte just stood there doing nothing, and my Golbez just got to like chunk him over time. But like it was such a weird. Like, she was just like buff. Don't move, buff, don't move. It's like, man, that really sucks, especially on AI when you can't choose to like position better. It's really funny.
So onto the evocation, electro cannon. I actually kind of like this. It's a little bit more OP than usual Esper like evocations, because it's in a straight line. So the range is 4 squares in a straight line, piercing, range height 2. Um, but I think because of that, like they added on a little bit more to the evocation. So um, it's 100% hit chance, so it doesn't matter whether they evade or not. But if it did, the before the damage hits, it breaks it says general barrier, so it breaks physical
Mm.
and magical barriers from my understanding. It's not going to break obviously the protection shell or whatever. It's just barriers.
Right, right.
Damage 240 mod, but I mean, let's say it's closer to 200 because like who really like invests like skill points into like the evocation nodes. But it's still pretty high. It's got a lower crit chance, uh, that's kind of weird to see because like you don't really expect like evocations to crit. Is that on the skill itself, or is that on the actual like effects? Because I think it's just on the skill itself.
The crit chance thing?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just
because it would
a
say,
quality of the ability where it's
yeah,
like
because
it
it would
has
say,
a negative chance to crit because it's
yeah,
100% hit, it's 240 mod, it's an Esper. It's just an Esper thing. Like I
exactly.
think all of them
Yeah.
say it. So
Okay, gotcha.
I don't think it's part of that like affect the whole board. There's a less
Yeah,
crit chance. That's not, I don't think it's
because
that.
it would say decrease crit chance by whatever.
Right,
So
for and 4
yeah,
units for 40 clock ticks or whatever. Yeah.
weird brain fart there. But for the rest, it's got the OP lightning apparel 50%, the attack and magic 100% for lightning units, obviously. But it's nice that they still put in like the attack and magic 20% for the other elements. Just to like if you're using like a rainbow team, it's still nice to get some benefit from the evocation
Is
instead
it
of
normally
waiting.
40%?
It is, yeah, something like that, 40 or 50.
Huh. Interesting.
Um,
I'm actually clicking
but
a few through a few other espers, and there's some at 30. I guess for some
yeah, it's
reason I
weird.
only remember 40s. That's weird.
Hmm. As far as the stats, it's got a an average HP total of 1270 because generally it's from like around like 1,000 or 1,100 to like around like 14, 1,500 for like the tank espers. So it's decent. Um, the magic is 116, so obviously this is a magic esper, and once we look into the skill tree, you can probably tell. But still has an attack of 43, so like if you invest in like lightning attack nodes, like you can still get some use out of it. Agility 18 though is the biggest deal.
Yeah,
Like
sick.
it's right behind Bahamut and Odin and Siren and Shiva. Not too bad if you're trying to keep your lightning units agility maxed with everyone else. All right, so on to the skill tree. Um, it's actually, I'm actually kind of impressed because a lot of the early like magic espers, their magic attacks are really crappy. It's like 2/2, 2/4 or something, and it only adds up to like 10 or something. So magic attack 15, so it's actually uh, on par with like the usual like slash attack or missile attack or whatever that we see. I kind of like that. For its resistances, it gets pierce and missile res. The killer gets his beast killer. That's kind of crappy. I would have expected like machine killer or something. Where so it would have some niche use against the near automata units. Beast killer is just kind of crap. The 3-star nodes are lightning attack as expected and critical evasion. That is not expected at all, and it's actually kind of crap too. Like we really don't ever build for crit evasion. It's just kind of like an extra stat that's like okay, whatever if we have it.
Like maybe
Um,
someday it'll be something relevant, like the meta gets super critty and it matters a lot. But right now, it's just we don't
yeah,
have the critical mass of equipment to really make it
a
matter, or critical mass of threats to make it matter.
and so the kind of like the 40 TP, sorry, SP nodes is like the what I think of like accuracy, TP up, and crit rates. Does that make sense? Like the two nodes that lead you wherever you're going. I think of them as like the 40 SP cost
Yeah, I can see
nodes.
that. I mean, it's important to kind of mentally know that too. Like when you're going through the tree to like really be efficient. Yeah, it's the 40 nodes.
Mhm. And then water killer, obviously, for the elemental killer. So, um, how do you feel about this?
I do like this Esper. Having a again from the PvP perspective, anytime I see 15 missile resist, a little bit of accuracy, and a relevant uh, combination of attack types. So whether that be elemental and attack type, so this magic and lightning, obviously for something like Renan, or if I see like slash and slash like on Fenrir, I'm happy. Relevant resistance plus relevant attack type. And when I say relevant too, I just mean Pierce and Strike are less relevant. This does also have Pierce, so you can go that route if you want to, depending on how the meta looks. But I'm really looking for the missile or the slash. Honestly, those two more than magic attack these days, because even the magic attackers we usually have to deal with are doing like missile damage from Jaden or slash from like if I see a Fryavia or but mainly Elena. Um, magic attack is like a close third though. So I like it from that standpoint. It does have the relevant PVE stuff as well, having the water killer, because if you're going to be doing a raid where you want to have one of those killers, it's nice to have. Okay, so I'm a lightning unit using this lightning attack Esper with water killer for this PvE content. It's a good
Yeah.
combination, and I mean it makes sense. It's how it's designed, but it's just nice to see that because we do have some awkward combinations on Espers occasionally where it's like my ice resists fire. It's like that doesn't. I'm not interested in that tree because it's just undoes its own weakness, which isn't always super powerful. However, it does have the root of like the crit evasion, which I'm not thrilled about. Although to be fair, it goes crit rate to crit evasion, so like the crit rate's okay. That might be like a filler choice if you have the other stuff maxed out that you want. You don't want to go down like Pierce resist 3. You can go get like some crit rate 4 or something. Beast killer, yeah, I'm trying to think of what is a beast, and because we get things like behemoth as a thing to kill, but is that a beast or is it an esper or like what is it classified as?
It's Esper.
It's an exact. So I don't know where this would be relevant, but I'm sure it will be sometime. But it's not something I'm really evaluating. Yeah, honestly though, outside the board, I mean, 18 agility with, I mean, 1270 is decent on the HP. 116 magic, like the stats are up there as well. It's I actually find it a little interesting that Dex isn't like 70 plus and the luck is. I would have thought being lightning, it might be themed the other way around, like we have a little less luck but a lot higher Dex. But I mean, hey, it balances out the units that this might go on to. In terms of using it on non-lightning units, it's definitely a little tighter. I would have to want a unit like I can maybe see it on something like Kilfey where I'm trying to make her really beefy because I could have the pierce resist, the missile resist, and the magic attack or something. But this definitely skews more towards lightning units in general, which does cut down the pool to things like Renan, Skull if you're a Skull fan. I guess Amar Salir if you go back and use her at some point. So
Ibarra.
it's Ibarra, yeah. Again, I forget about units I don't have. It's a
I
really bad
know.
habit. It's so bad. All right, so there's actually relevant targets. Interestingly, this could be used on Sakura with her lightning damage attacks. So I know she gets an EX someday that I've heard is not bad. So
See,
maybe that's where we go.
my thoughts are a little different. So I would rather go Pierce Res than Missile Res on this because if I'm running it, I'm probably going to be running it on a Lightning unit. And honestly, I don't really have to worry too much about missile attacks from Earth teams as much as Pierce attacks, like Oberon, Halloween Fred, um,
How often do you see those
even
though, compared to like
well,
Jaden
actually,
and Frederica?
Oberon is one of like the top Earth units against Lightning teams right now.
But will the Pierce
So
resist save you from him, or is the Earth
you
advantage
know,
gonna
who
show through?
knows? Like if you have the chance to get to build more Pierce Res, honestly, I can't remember offhand if any of the Lightning Vision cards increase Pierce Res. I don't think so,
don't think so.
but
No.
honestly, like I'll probably be building it towards lightning attack anyways. So like keeping it on that side of the skill tree is it's not just easier to do, but I think it's more relevant just in terms of pierce attacks that are incoming on your team. So I know it's weird because like it's like missile res is like a no brainer. Um, but you kind of have to take that into account, especially because of Renan's domain of lightning buff, where he raises spirit and missile res.
And
You
also,
can
if you have
either,
Fred's Dream also has 20 missile res, so you have it
yeah,
in other
yeah,
places if you're building that team.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
fair.
that's true. So, but it just kind of depends on like how much missile res you're stacking. In my opinion, like the more you stack, the more it gets pierced, but you can't always anticipate it getting pierced. So like it's gonna be useful anyway. So um honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards lightning attack, pierce res, and missile res over the magic attack.
Hmm.
But it depends on how much missile attacks you're anticipating. So like if you're going up against like mirror matches or whatever, maybe it'll be useful. But
But
um, it's besides the 18 agility, it doesn't seem like this is more relevant than like its own elements, which kind of it's a good Esper.
Yeah, by the way, I'm gonna put money where my mouth is, and there
Very
we go.
nice.
So we just pulled it. So
Nice.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I'll do it now before I like stop thinking about it, or before I
Was that was that like the first bowl?
no, it was in the guaranteed slot on the
Oh,
fifth.
okay,
It's
yeah.
the fifth
I was
step.
like, dang.
Yeah, yeah. Like I just knew it. Like boom, right here.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? That'd be a hell of a called shot.
Yeah.
But no, I thought about it. I'm like, I should get the card. My lightning stuff is semi lacking, so I'd rather have. I want to have the opportunity for both. Especially Coastal Mid sounds kind of cool to have like Layar to like bring her out along with either Nivlu or Frederica, depending on if I want Time Mage or not, and then Renan is the third slot. So or Soma. So
Yeah, it's kind of relevant now with like the limited guild battle stuff.
yeah. So yeah, there we go. We got it. That's how I feel about it. Any other thoughts about this before we go kind of snap back to Final Fantasy 14 over here?
I don't know.
All right, let's lead into let's go to Y'shtola.
All right, so um, we never really covered the Final Fantasy 14 units because like by the time the banner had like by the time they were like not even relevant, um, that was really when we started considering like doing the podcast, right?
Yeah, so
So
they have unique jobs, and they're. I mean, she's
yeah.
a little more similar to an existing job than Thancred, but yeah, we never really kind of went over them, and they are unique. So let's treat them like new units, sort of, but not.
They kind of are though. I mean, like with
I
their recent
guess,
buffs.
yeah, I guess, and they're in new light. So yeah, we'll go over them kind of more completely than we would say like if Howlett got when Howlett got his EX, like we might have only talked about his EX
Yeah.
abilities and how we feel about him now, whereas these will talk a little more detail.
So Y'shtola, her main job is sorceress. Obviously, nobody else has had the sorceress job. She has white mage and green mage. Green mage obviously less relevant, especially since she doesn't have imperil. Like for whatever reason, she has vitalize, she has dispel. Like she got dispel instead of imperil. So
Yes, this is what Dispel, Imperil, or is it the Bar, like the big resist one?
bar
So for the big
Farah,
Bar
yeah,
Fyra, yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of lame, but you know, it's more of like a PvE thing, I guess. So, usual like move 3, jump 1 for a like a mage class. Cost 50 is the usual MR cost. She is limited, but obviously like she's free, so and they're giving us so many of her shards. It's gonna be really easy. It's like Mons in a way. Like it's hard not to build him
Oh, for
because
sure.
of how much they're giving away. Um, Her Timar, it's called Night Seeker, is a staff, and it's kind of terrible. It has a, if I remember correctly, has a chance to apply silence on auto.
Yep, on basic attack.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's interesting for maybe something like a scholar or something with like a ranged attack. But
That's true,
mm,
actually. I never thought about that. Well,
oh yeah,
wait, Scholar can't
no scholar. Yeah, scholars have books, but like you know,
books, yeah.
for like a rod using class that has like a ranged like auto attack, if that even, I don't
Does
think really there's any
Pilfer?
that
Does Staff,
no.
they don't have a ranged?
No,
I
it's
know they deal
like it's
magic.
magic. Yeah, hers was the
Okay.
first auto attack that was changed to magic, which I like, I don't know, that always stuck with me. But who knows? Maybe in the future there will be that. But I think for the moment, like we're probably not going to be expecting that. But it's possible. It would be more useful,
Someday.
maybe. But yeah. So until then, like it's got pretty poor stats. I'm not even gonna go into it. So onto our master ability. On release, well, close enough to release. Her master ability kind of was terrible. She has increased TP by 15%, acquired AP up by 30. Those are not really relevant for like, well, I mean, in terms of you know, buffing, like it kind of helps with the TP, but the third one that she gets for her master ability is increased magic resistance penetration 30. That we never really paid attention to, I feel like back in the day. Like it was never
No.
really that big of a deal. Like you couldn't really build a bunch of magic resistance to need the penetration. So like I feel like we mostly like just didn't pay attention to it back then. It was just like meh, whatever. Now it's like really relevant. More
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
But her master ability like changes and upgrades and stuff, so much better. So she still gets the TP 15%, the acquired AP up 30, and the magic resist penetration 30. Um, for her party buff, she gets 10% HP for fire allies, and the resistance she gets as an MR party buff is confusion. So confusion res 25 for fire allies. Um, uh, Additionally, she also gets magic 20% and spirit pen 20. Not 20%, whatever. So yeah, a bunch more stuff. Um, Really, I think the most relevant is the magic up, the spirit pen, alongside her original magic res penetration. More than anything else, I think those are the relevant ones. On to her stats. Um, it's like I almost hesitate
You start to laugh.
because like her stats, like she was just so paper like back in the day. Like she would just get like one shot by a shuriken or something. And it was just like it was sad. But after her X upgrades, she actually has like a sizable like HP total. It's like
Don't
I
listen to
think,
War of the Visions calc though. For some reason, the total max stats, she's saying HP is 1080. It's not adding up all the stats, so I don't know what the fuck's happening here, but
yeah, like
it's
her
weird.
HP total went up to like 2K from like 1K or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes it more competitive. I think I have her up to like 4 or 5K, depending on the vision card,
Hmm.
and like obviously gear and stuff. So I mean, she's not going to get one shot by shurikens anymore. I'll tell you. Um, her resistances are really the worst part about her. I don't know what they were thinking with like these early units, but she has like negatives across the board except for her magic resistance. So slash res, pierce res, they're -10, and striking and missile res are -15. So like those are really her biggest liability, honestly, and that's probably why she got one shot so much.
Oh
Um,
yeah, for sure.
her magic resistance is 10 though, so it's a little bit easier for her to defend against magic attacks if you're like trying to build her that way. Even her status ailment resistances are just weird. She gets 50% resistance to petrify and toad, and 10% to charm.
Crickets.
So
Crickets.
right?
Crickets.
I mean, like I mean, you could find use for her and like these nightmare stages or whatever, where they have like an increase like chance to petrify by like fucking 80% or something. I know it's not that high, but she has actually a vulnerability to doom. Just a flat, like a base -25%. Like she's doomed. I have to wonder if that's like
A lore
is that like a
base.
lore thing?
I was about to ask you. We
I
need
don't
a
really
Final
know.
Fantasy 14 expert. I haven't gone far enough in the story to really. I don't even know if I'm in the story to where she's got like this robe. Because I think this is her Shadowbringer's like evolution essentially. And my Final Fantasy 14 career has not extended that far. But
Yeah, I've never really had the chance to get into 14, and that kind of makes me sad because
it's a really good game.
I've heard like a lot of good things, honestly. Like some people say like it's their favorite game now out of the franchise. So
It's my second choice
yeah,
for MMO for sure.
yeah. I can't really do well with MMOs. I just get like sucked in, you know.
Oh, of
I
course.
gotta stay away. I mean, it's nice that she has 10% charm res. Like anything really helps, but like you know, for Steelheart, like it's 25% base, right? So, but like, let's be honest, she's probably
Oh,
gonna get
wait,
charmed
you mean 50% base?
for Steelheart. Is it? Why was I thinking 25%?
Because you thought it was fair for a second.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
because
right.
that's the maybe because the robe we talked about last time brings it down a lot, but
Hmm,
um
weird.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's
that's
not
why
fair.
it's 97, right? Because it's the 50 multiplied by faith. So
Yeah,
that's
Jesus.
why we bitched about it for a year,
Yeah,
like, over a year now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it brings down to
God, it's been
40.
so long since I
So
used it.
it's 40 cap would be, so it brings to like 83%, I think, is what a 10% would do instead of 97, assuming both 97 faith. I think that's what the math works out to be, but
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've seen 83s before, so yeah, that sounds right. Unless
it's
it's like,
plausible. It's
yeah, something
plausible.
like that. Unless it's like a 70 or 80 faith or something. I don't
Like,
know.
right, somewhere.
But so onto her skills. I mean, I'm sure we all know this, but going starting with her passives, her job level 3 is Enochian. So that's her basically her magic up. It gets upgraded to Enochian 2. Kind of a lame name, but you know, the upgrade adds magic res penetration 30 and accuracy 25.
Pretty
I think
good.
that's pretty good. Yeah, she has holy for a guaranteed hit. So, but you know, maybe the accuracy buff is going to help her hit with like other skills. So it's never a bad thing to have increased accuracy, honestly. Her other passives pretty terrible because of her sub jobs. I don't know why she gets two green mage passives, but you have the choice between March of the Saints to nullify Doom to counteract her vulnerability to Doom, Savior's Protection, which is honestly, in my opinion, the best one. Uh, Debuff Resistance 12, Magic Resistance 12, and Emerald Echo, which you might think is kind of the go-to, like no-brainer. Obviously, increase buff and debuff duration by 1 turn. More on that later. So, her reactions are Mana Fonts, chance to counter damage, a 30% chance to counter increased AP by up to 30, and that's not percent, that's like flat
Just
30.
restore 30, yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Like normally we would expect there to be like a percentage value or something there. But honestly it's probably better because it would be higher than 30 in my opinion. Um because you're going to have an AP higher than 100 like for total. So
Right.
the other two are Regenerator from her White Mage. Obviously, counter damage, 20% chance, increased, or sorry, grants regen up to 10% for 3 turns. And then Dispel Counter from Green Mage, 20% chance to counter, and with a range of 2, I believe, dispels all buffs and haste. So, yeah, kind of terrible reaction skills.
I think I'm on dispel just in case she doesn't die and gets to dispel somebody. Like the other two, like restoring 30 AP on a caster, meh. I don't think she's gonna live long enough to drain her AP bar and also regen. Like again, not a large health pool. The heal's really
Exactly.
insignificant. So I think you gamble on the dispel. Like someone walks in range, somehow doesn't kill you, and then you get to dispel them or something. Like that's, I yeah, that's about it. She would need a preemptive one to like really make it more attractive. But
Yeah, definitely. Basic attack is striking, so yeah, it'd been
yeah,
nice if they changed that to magic.
Death
But I
Bash.
mean, yeah. So her main job skills, the ones she starts with are Science Fire, 141 damage mod, range 4, range height 2, 8 casts, which is crazy, and 15 AP. Her second one is Ethereal Manipulation. Uh, I remember like using this back in the day and just being like, dude, this never works. Apparently it's a 50% chance. So, but I think it's a 50% chance for each ally or something because I remember seeing
Yes.
it only affect like one ally and like the entire AoE range. So that was super annoying.
For sure. Yep. And I also could
But
never figure out is it on destination or on use, but it's destination.
destination, yeah.
But like I remember back in the day just not understanding what's happening. I'm like it didn't do
Yeah,
anything.
well, you're right. So it's actually a pretty sweet skill, and like if we saw it on like a more relevant like physical or magical attacker, it'd be like, holy shit, this is awesome. Especially since it's like a starting skill. So
If it's
it's
100%, it'd be cool. Like
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. Well,
wouldn't be
yeah.
broken. Back in
So
the day, maybe, but
so it's got a 50% chance to restore CT by obviously it's going to be 25 on destination. It's got a range of 4 and across AoE with a range height of 2 and AoE height of 1. And it's 3 casts at 28 TP. So it's like it's not a bad skill. And honestly, like in terms of positioning, like having the chance to just like warp where you want, and I mean 50% is better than 25% base.
true.
Honestly, I need to revisit my initial like skepticism about the skill because it's actually not that bad, honestly. Um, so on her uh, job level 7, she gets Swift Cast, which increases or decreases her activation time for skills and like both AP and TP skills by 350 for 4 turns. That'd be 5 if you're using Emerald Echo, right?
Yep.
Um, so she only gets 2 casts of those, but it's 35 TP. So like she's gonna have a hard time like running out of AP unless she's using a lot of AP heavy spenders. Xenoglossy, I don't know why it's called that. It's probably from the game. It's actually a
Sure is.
220 damage mod. So I remember Xenoglossy always hurting back in the day and like never feeling good getting hit by it. It's only 26 AP. The range of 3, range height of 2. Um, this is honestly one of her best skills, at least for single target damage. It actually gets, excuse me, it actually gets upgraded to Xenoglossy 2. Again, lazy naming convention. But it doesn't add to the damage, but it increases human killer by 40 for this attack. So yeah, you're probably going to be using it on humans if you're using her.
Humans.
So I mean, if you're using her in PvP. So her job level 12 skill, Scion's Fira, is 185 damage mod, range of 3 across AoE, range height of 2, AoE height of 1. So like decent height ranges. Another 26 AP spender, 3 casts.
Kind of a short distance
Yeah,
though for Fyra, right? Like,
is
isn't
it?
it normally 4+1, not 3+1? Or am I just completely
I know
misremembering?
Farraga. I know the Aga skills are 4. I think the Firas are 3, but I could be mistaken.
I'm gonna go look at like Medina real quick, but you can continue.
So we've already covered her upgrades, right? She has her Enochian
Oh,
passive like
now they are
magic up,
3+1.
yeah,
That's fine.
and her Xenoglassy upgrade. So her job 25 skill, Scion's Greater Fira, is it Fira?
I always say Fyra.
Firaga, Fira.
I
Yeah, because
We'll say
fire,
it different ways just to
Firaga.
piss someone off.
Yeah,
We'll cover all our bases.
nice. Science Greater Fira. Yeah, it just sounds weird now that I say it now. It should be Fira. Increase magic resistance penetration by up to 40 for 3 turns or 4 turns if you're using Emerald Echo. Um, damage mod 185. It's got a range of 4, so it's basically. I don't know why they didn't call it Science for Firaga. It's like
Yeah.
anyways, maybe it's a different like it's got the damage mod of a Fyra, so like maybe that's why
Well,
they're not calling
actually,
it.
I was about to comment. I was gonna wait till you're done, but now that you brought it
Okay.
up, I when I was looking at these numbers as we were scrolling, they seemed off to me, and they are.
Yeah,
If you look at
I'll be a little
a
higher.
normal Black Mage's Blizzara, it's a 141. So
Yeah,
actually, the Scion's Fire being 185 is actually significantly more powerful.
yeah.
The Scion's Fire is 141. That does track with like Blizzard. Again, I'm looking at Medina, but I mean they're all going to be the same across the
Hmm.
just different names. Um, so that is interesting that it is at a base higher, and the fact that her greater Fyra is only greater because of the buff, not because of the actual damage itself. So it's a
Yeah.
little strange to me, especially if they have like 0 match resist. It's the same shit as Fyra,
What's the
just
Firaga
better range.
damage mod?
Just clicked it off. Is there anybody who just got an EX? I'm just trying to find like the quickest. Margaret. Does she have Fyraga in her sub,
Nice.
or does she has
Yeah.
Flare?
Oh
Forget.
God, I keep forgetting that. Ah,
Oh, she has Fyraga.
yeah, I was
Fyraga
gonna
is
say.
185. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So it is the damage.
it's
Both of her
Fyraga.
Firas. Yeah, that's crazy. So she basically her Firas are upgraded from the normal like Black Mage Firas.
And the cast
They're
time is faster because Fyraga would be 200, and these are
yeah, it's
280s. So
280s. Yep. So yeah, Greater Fyra. Like we said, same damage mod 185. Um, range 4, range height 2, AoE height 1, 27 AP, 3 casts. So the most important thing about this job 25 skill and why I think it's it, it qualifies as like a job 25 skill you want to invest in instead of just like not spending the blossom on it, is the magic resistance penetration buff, because it's not just on the skill itself, it's for 3 turns or 4. um, it actually bumps her up to 100% magic resistance penetration. So you could either not invest in this, save your Blossom and give her like 80% magic resistance to penetration with like the Cypress Pile staff. Or you could just go all the way and give her like another staff that is more useful, like Renan's staff that just came out. Like this, like I say his staff because it's staff of the
Yeah.
whatever lightning lord.
Yeah.
Um, it's got Spirit Pen on it. I would rather use that on her and bump her Spirit Pen up
For
to
sure.
40. So the fact that it's for 3 turns instead of on just this attack, I think that's really relevant. So
And what is a
definitely
Fyraga but
worth it.
just a greater Fyra? So
Yeah.
I mean that's the name works out.
So yeah, really, I think her main job skills are actually relevant now that like they kind of like beefed up like the rest of her. Maybe not the rest of her, but she has more HP. She has I think a little bit more agility. Like she's and her magic stat is just like it's really high now. So like she's the things that she was uh, relevant for back in the day, like when it first came out and like you were using her because she was like your only mage maybe. She does even better now. So
Mhm.
because it's not just about like her attack skills, like her higher magic stat just increases her healing by like crazy amount. Like her curadas can like I don't know. I think I was healing June for like 4 or 5K on a curata because I was using her on my guild battle team.
Pretty sizable.
Anyways, so White Mage is her second sub job. She does not get full life. She gets holy instead at job 12. That's the biggest thing. Otherwise, I think she would be way more relevant than she was and is. Full life is just way more of an impact on any team. And it's pretty much why you choose like one unit with the white mage job over another. Just my opinion. So as Esuna, Cure, Shell, Protect, Curata,
The normal
Raise,
sub job stuff, yeah.
Holy. Yeah. So I mean it's nice. It's actually really nice that she has Holy for that guaranteed hit. Like you're probably gonna be running her on White Mage. Um, but yeah, it would be nice if she had full life because I think she's more of a support um like caster.
Like
Um
a pivot caster. Yeah.
yeah. But moving on to her third sub job, Green Mage, she gets Dispel, like we said, for her job level 12 skill. So she does not get Imperil, and or nor does she have Bar Fyra, but she has Ruin, she has the Deprotect and Deshell, she has Vitalize, and she has Bar Fire. So those might be helpful to you, but probably not. Let's be honest, it's Green Mage. Yeah, that is pretty much what I have to say. Do you have any thoughts? Any more thoughts?
Not really. I mean, I think you covered most of it. The 100% magic resist pen is a big thing to mention. And like you said, using staves that have other bonuses instead of having magic resist pen. Or I mean, you can even forgo the magic attack, right, and just go spirit because then you're just penetrating through everything. You lose the 15 mod, but you'll usually get more value out of stacking all those buffs than that 15 mod would give because if they resist 50% of that damage, you're only getting like 7.5 mod essentially out of it, and it's the value goes down on those. The less you can penetrate their defenses.
I think
I do personally say though I'd probably be on Emerald Echo because again, Savior's Protection. I'm not getting. She's not there to live a hit. She's there to support and then do damage if she can before she dies. So I'd rather have the Swift Cast last longer, or if I'm on Sorceress sub job for some reason and her 50% magic buff could last longer. But most of the time it's just going to be that Swift cast, and then if she has a TMR, like if she TMR buffs the team, I mean that'll last longer as well. So, um,
actually, I forgot to go over her main sub job stuff. I basically never use her main sub job. I don't know how I skipped it over. But in like in
hey, this was
PvE,
farming back in the day.
yeah, exactly. So in PvE circumstances, I can see using it. She gets Sharp Cast, which is a magic 50% buff for 3 turns or 4 turns. It's 2 casts at 18 TP. And she gets Foul, which was one of the original like burst AoE range like magic skills. It's 185 mod, so it's like that Farrago mod. You get 2 casts. It's 48. It's a whopping 48 AP though. But you get that burst AoE range. It's a range of 3 with extra 2 like in a across AoE, whatever. Range height of 2 is probably the most important, and AoE height of 1. So you were pretty much farming with her and like Mediana.
Just
I
back
can't
if you
even
couldn't
remember.
pull Gilgamesh and you couldn't pull Medina, you would
Yeah, like
use
with
your
the
free
Kotetsus.
Y'shtola with
Hmm.
Foul to farm levels.
And like you might not even be one-shotting things, but it's better than nothing, right? So yeah, I probably should not have disrespected her by missing that. So I think there's one other consideration that I forgot to mention, and it's with the upcoming TMR like trust stones and stuff like that, like TMR weapons have suddenly become more relevant if you can tune them to like your favorite units, right? So God, what was there's a recent unit that came with a TMR staff with the unit resistance up, and I don't know why I'm struggling to remember who it was, but there is a staff TMR unit
I'll look it up.
resistance 10. The magic is decent, like 158, I think. And there's like one other stat buff, but if you're really invested in,
Lemures. Lemure.
oh yeah, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
single target res 10.
If you're really invested in like Y'shtola or another caster that um, could really use like Spirit Pen or something, and doesn't really need or doesn't really find the use for like TMR like accessories or armors or whatever, I think uh, it can be useful to try to mess around with that staff because the unit res is nice and it's got a decent damage mod. So that's the only other consideration I have for Y'shtola in terms of like weapons. You can use like an armor and like a I don't know like an aim ring or something.
Yeah, I can see that. I would love to be able to feel better about using weapon TMRs because there are so many good accessory and armor combinations in those first two slots, but I feel so limited by you got to pick one, and then you have like bells or Mastery TMR or something in the third slot. So I'm looking forward to the materia, whatever it's called, update for this. So
I like
we have a
that.
lot of variety. Is it materia?
I don't know what it
I've
is,
heard
but
people call it the materia, but I don't
really,
know if
it's crazy.
that's what the
I
actual
just
name
know
is going to be.
I just know that they call them trust stones. That's all I
Trust
got so
stones. Oh
far.
yeah,
Yeah,
I've no idea. Oh, did they say it in the update video or something? Did
something like
they?
that.
Oh, okay. I actually have not watched the most recent the videos from Hiroki and Justin. So maybe I missed something that now I sound like an idiot. But yeah, I completely have not watched those videos. So maybe they're
On the
called.
spot.
Yeah, right. Gonna watch it right now and come back. No, I'm not doing that. All right. Speaking of back in the day, let's talk about Thancred. This was the first whale trap of the game. It's like first week the game was out or whatever. People were like, "Oh my god, this unit is hard to get. Must be good." He wasn't bad, but I don't think he was worth the half pull rate, double cost, all that bullshit people had to go through to get him. And I do wish Locke was here to talk about him because this is
I do wish too.
I think this unit is kind of what made everybody recognize Locke, and he became like the name that he did because he would just thrash people in live PvP with Thancred. Like you'd match up, you're like, all right, it's Thancred, and who are the other two on his team? It's like it was just always the case. And over time, we'll talk about the fact that he's a physical unit with red mage sub job. But people actually would unironically use the red mage sub job because of resist break and chaining with teammates. So there's a lot of interesting stuff you can do with him. But he's a 100 cost unit with no LB, and that was another big complaint since release, and I don't think they've changed that. So he's an interesting spot.
I don't know why. This is like the perfect chance to give him an LB. Like, why are they hating on that? I don't get it.
Yeah, in either case though, he is a really cool unit. He's a resist tank. And we'll just talk about him. So move 3, jump 1, but he does have sub dragoon. Spoiler, you can get him to 4-2. Cost 100. Interesting too. He looks like he might. I mean, he's wearing a jacket in his like picture, but he feels almost like a tanky unit. But he has hat and cloth for his armor choices. And also speaking about back in the day, this bodyguard coat from his TMR was like the most absurdly statted thing we had like ever seen. It gave 584 HP, which is still high for a TMR, even by today's standards. 10 defense was decent back when you couldn't always build your golden armors or whatever else. And also the 10 evade, sometimes that was just what you needed.
Just put on like a tone for
Yeah, you put
early drain forces.
yeah, this for early Drain Force Catone for sure. Massive HP, a little bit of evade, and back then, I mean, there's so little accuracy, no Alex rings. Having a max Alex ring was like, oh my god. And it also had the passive effect of 15% light resist, which wasn't as relevant back then, but it's still good to just tack on. So I still use this TMR today, honestly. Not as frequently, but a lot in PvE situations. His master ability used to just be 10% HP and 10 slash attack, but now he's got quite the spread here. He maintains the he gets 10% the light party buff, so 10% HP for the team, as well as light attack 15. His own HP though is up by up to 20 from 10. Maintains the 10 slash. He gets a flat 150 attack, and then also one of his skills, Blasting Zone, gets upgraded, which we'll talk about in a moment. Yeah, this kind of just crazy bumps his damage up because like a combination of the light attack plus the slash and just flat attack, all attacking from all three angles of possible buffing. Obviously,
That's
the slash doesn't synergize with like Dragoon, but
it's interesting how they snuck in like the greater values because like before the banner returns, but after he got his second master ability, it was like attack 100 and like HP, like it might have been 10 or 15 or something, but like it's only been up to 20% and 150 attack like since the banner returned, which
oh
is
really?
weird.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was looking at it like before Wednesday.
Moving into his stats, I'm looking again. Both these units don't have their totals in the like added up correctly at the bottom. So I might have to manually add this together because he has from his unit stats with EX 35 plus 2 37 plus 6 is he gets plus 6 on his EX board for agility. 37 43 plus 18. Quick math, 61 agility now, if my math is correct, which is kind of crazy compared to what he used to be. So there's a lot going on with this unit. I want to see what his actual HP is too. It just says 3600 here. That's before his
Yeah.
EX.
His total after his mastery buff, which gives him like 1,000, by the way, comes out to 5,000.
Yeah, beefy unit over here. He also has innate like 12 defense. On top of his resists. So this is kind of his claim to fame as well. He has 20% slash resist, 5% pierce, 35% strike, and 20% missile. It is crazy what he can do against physical damage. But if you go look at his magic attack, it's minus 30. You can even that out, but it's really hard to justify doing that sometimes. In terms of status resist, he's got 50% too. I believe this is paralyzed. Always mix up paralyzed and stun. Yeah, it's paralyzed. And 50% immobilize. He's got minus 5 to charm, so he's 100% to charm if he's at 97 faith, which is just real sad. But I also don't think you're playing him on 97 faith, so that's always it helps out a little bit there. Any notes about his stats other than that? I would talk about his totals, but I just don't see them here. But I'm pretty sure his attack's like way above 500 now with his passive, so
And just a flat 150 on his master skill.
Yeah, it's really solid.
Ridiculous. Like it's at 642.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah, it's hard to imagine a light unit that's worse at taking magic damage than Engelbert. But I mean, Thancred is
but
like
here
right
he
there.
is.
Like, if it wasn't for his super
Magic attack damage.
yeah, if it wasn't for his super Belide like barrier that like Engelbert only got Saintly Wall, but super Belide is both magic and physical damage, so he'd be like worse in my opinion than Engelbert. So yeah, I don't get the magic attack resistance like vulnerability on
I mean, you
like
got
the
to be
red.
weak somewhere, right? Like, the other
Yeah,
ones are so high, it's like, all right, just
yeah,
tack on this. And back in the day, that was always the theme, right? You either resisted all of the 4, and then you're really bad at magic, or you were weak to all of the
you're
4, or
Y'shtola.
even, yeah, and then you're really strong to magic. And that was the convention back then. Now we get mixes of, like, minus strike and pierce, and all the other ones are positive, and we all rejoice. But
I think Actually, that one of the reasons why he was such a monster was because there weren't that many magic, like, there weren't that many casters back in the day, so
For
you
sure.
were just
It was like
trying to
Medina
chunk
or bust.
away. Yeah, you were trying to chunk away at his HP total, and he was taking maybe 5 to 10% at a time, and meanwhile, he's just, like, jugular ripping your face off. It's actually, jugular is your throat, but, yeah, like, if he had the chance to buff, like, defense and, like, his barrier and stuff like that, regen was probably on, and then suddenly he's up in your face with his warp attack. Yeah, I think the trade-off was definitely worth it in his favor. Nowadays,
Yeah,
though, there's a lot more magic attackers out there, so
true.
we'll see if that makes a difference
That's what the
for
large
whoever's
HP
using
pool is
him.
for.
Yeah, and magic reflex. Anyways,
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. So, in his passives, we'll just talk about his unique ones because the other ones are always the same for sub jobs. We have Camouflage, which starts off with just 15% missile resist, what it used to be. But now we get Camouflage 2, from Daniel's favorite naming convention. And that maintains the same 15 missile resist, but defense pen 40. So there's the modernization update there in his passives. That puts him up to 35 missile resist just with that on. His other one is Nebula, which goes to the Pierce Resist 15, so that brings it from 5 to 20. So you can kind of see a theme here. He's very resistance based. You can build him very specifically to target specific teams. Obviously, magic attack damage specifically, not really as much, but all the other four, I've seen him go null slash and like nearly null missile before. It's really insane what you can do with him. But yeah, his one of his counters is that Jugular Rip you just mentioned. It's a chance to counter all damage by 30% to deal a small 121. Range 1, not interested in whatsoever. Dragon's Blade, I've seen people use on him, but I think nowadays we're just going to be using Magic Reflex because this is not magic attack damage even. It's just anything that scales off magic. So this can dodge your Elenas, your Jadens, your Yunas, your Renans,
Kotetsu's.
all of that stuff. Yeah, and it can also reflex Kotetsu, which is hilarious. Because he has such a weakness to magic attack damage, I think you just want this on as a hedge. So sometimes you just flat out dodge this stuff. Magic reflex is so powerful. All the reflexes are. But this one being a base chance of 20 instead of a reflexes 15 is nice as well. Moving into his main job though, he's got some interesting things here. So his basic ability is Keen Edge. It hits twice from a range of 1 with 5 casts, cost 17. It's kind of a spam ability. It's not crazy, again, because of that one range, although the mod is an interesting 133. So that's a little bigger than small, I think, but a little smaller than I don't even know. It's weird.
Another
It's a
option
small.
for light slash if you don't have Ramza.
Yeah. Also that. And his next buff is No Mercy, so increases his own personal slash stack by 25 for 3 turns. Good buff if you have nothing else to do. Super Belide is upgraded to Super Belide 2. It used to consume his own HP at 15%, but now it doesn't consume any, which is a massive change. And it's a 50% all damage type buff. Or resistance, sorry. Reduction, barrier, whatever fucking word I'm trying to say. 50% damage barrier to all damage types. Then also, now it decreases AP consumption by 25 for 3 turns. That is a really interesting thing to add. So I think that just makes this mandatory. Like the first thing he does, Super Belide 2, now continue, because it is a 3 times barrier, not a 3 turns barrier. So he just gets to hold on to it until he takes damage. Obviously, things that are like 4 hit will break it all, but that's kind of true of anything. Blasting Zone gets an upgrade from his passive. It used to have a cast time, and this was a skill that was really fun because it's a 225 mod. It can pierce and hit 2 units. But you would set this up, and then you'd be like, all right, well, I hope they don't move before this happens. And I know there were really fun AI things back in the day where he would start casting or something, or like whatever it was, he would do it in like weird directions and like completely miss people on auto, and it was bizarre. And also, I think this is one of the ones where if you use it first, you can't move after because it's one of those line sort of delay abilities. Like I think what's the other one? Is it Devitalizing Glint from Scholars? I think it is. That's the line one, right?
Yeah.
If you use that, you can't move after, which killed me in class match before. But anyway, they removed that cast time now, which is really cool. So you just literally can blast people with it in a line. Same deal, 28 AP, 3 uses, range 2, range height 1. Really cool ability. I like that they made it more reasonable to actually use. His next ability, which is one of the coolest things he could always do, which is Rough Divide. It's a like a teleporting strike. It's in a line only, but it has a good range of 4, decent damage of 165. And yeah, this was kind of his. It was so threatening. I remember we'd always try to position outside of it, knowing that if he got to teleport to you, he's just gonna stick to you and do a lot of damage and be really hard to kill. Um, so you can play around it that way, but it is a very, very useful skill for a 3-1 movement unit. Until we get to Dragoon. And then his 25 skill after, so he has Blasting Zone, which gets upgraded from his passive to Blasting Zone, and then his job 25 skill is Blasting Zone 2. uh, it's just the episode of 2s. I mean, obviously it's the 14 units, but
Why isn't it Scion's Greater Blasting Zone?
because I don't, I guess he is a Scion, so yeah, I don't know.
Scion's Greater
Um,
Fyra.
Jesus, Scion's great, yeah, the greater Blasting Zone. I don't even know, but this one is range 3, a little cross AoE, range height 1, AoE 1. 26 AP is sizable, but with his reduction from Super Belide, it's probably fine. It's going to decrease defense by 30 in an AoE on targets, which is, again, it's bigger than Crush Armor and the stuff we used to see. And then it does 165, so medium damage. Pretty useful skill, gives him range that's less limited, like his Rough Divide is. So I'm a fan. It is really his only, like Rough Divide and Blasting Zone 2 are his really only 2 things that go more than 2 spaces that are also, actually no, I guess I can't even say that because Rough Divide's also linear limited. Blasting Zone 2 is real good for a unit like him who's super limited, on how he can target you. And yes, my words are not coming out correctly right now. I'm trying to make up time here, but his sub job skills from Gunbreaker are Burst Strike, just another super close range 175. Sure, if you get in range, that's cool. Heart of Stone, he can buff an ally for 25 defense. And Aurora, this one was pretty cool earlier in the game. With his high resist, he's taking low damage, so regen's a lot more valuable on a unit like him. Yeah, grants regen to self with the cast time, but normally the cast time you can resolve it before it's an issue. Red Mage, I'll skip to that one real quick. Not really interested in any of the stuff here except Isuna is nice to have on a unit that can just randomly pop it out and you don't expect it to come out of him. And also Resist Break is a physical attack dealing pierce damage that can synergize with magic damage dealing teammates. So actually this is a lot better than it looks on him, especially because he already has to be in that really close range. So it's not that big a deal that you're range 2 because you're already setting that up anyway while you're playing him. However, in Dragoon subjob, he gets Dragon Standard, which really, a unit like him helps, especially I was just talking about positioning for Rough Divide. Being able to make him 4-1, or 4-2, I think that's really significant. So it's really hard to get me off of Dragoon sub because it's just so good. And yeah, you can also do the jump tricks with him, where the jump level 1, you can do his little jump dodge immunity stuff. Horizontal jump, maybe in a pinch, it becomes relevant because it does have such a long range and isn't linear limited. It is height limited though, which sucks. So yeah, it's funny too. Both of his sub jobs that aren't his main job do pierce physical damage instead of having just slash, so that's kind of cool. Again, if you're against a team that is building all this slash resist, you can just go pierce. But anyway, kind of speed ran through him. Anything you think I missed?
Just a couple things. So yeah, his LB is kind of weird in the sense that it's not there. No, I'm just kidding. This Superbolide, the buff, the AP consumption is for 3 turns. So like
Yeah,
that's ticking. It's you at first glance you might think that the decreased consumption is as long as the barrier lasts, but it's important to note that it's 3 turns, even though the damage barrier is for 3 times.
yeah, it gives them a
So
barrier and a buff, 2 separate effects on the same ability.
exactly. So you might need to reapply that if you're really focused on using as little AP as possible. Maybe for like a raid environment, whatever.
It is 2 uses, which is sweet, right?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
think
exactly.
like things like Saintly Wall are only 1, right?
No, Saintly Walls too.
Is it 2?
Uh,
Okay,
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I'll double check.
Um, and then God, there was one other. Oh yeah, so um, I for the longest time, I was like, all right, so when are we gonna
Thanks, too.
get a Final Fantasy VIII banner? Because by God, we need a Gunblade upgrade.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. He can only use his gunblade.
Yeah,
You can
so
put nothing else
there's
on this unit.
there's so many other swords that
The
would be like
hardest
that
thing to
were
max in the game.
yeah, exactly. That like if only we could use like Mythgraven Blade on him, it'd be great. So
Incredible.
um, you know, other Gunblade classes aside, like in the future, it's important to note that his Lionheart replica also got buffed. So it's not just the slash attack 15 anymore if you have the chance to get a +5. If you're using it on Thancred, because let's be honest, that's the only one you're really going to be using it on, it grants him light attack 15 and slash res pen 20. So he gets the defense he gets the
Whoa.
defense pen 40
I did
from
not
his
realize that.
camouflage. Yeah, so that's the other like modernization like aspect to him is like on
What?
his sword he's gonna have 20 slash res as well. Slash res pen. And light attack 15, I mean the we've seen the weapons like since like what was it, ice brands, and then like the coral sword and stuff. The elemental attack on top of the slash attack is just obviously a nice damage boost for whoever's using it. So the fact that he gets another 15 to his mod is decent.
I
And it
mean,
doesn't
the whole.
matter,
Sorry,
it
finish.
doesn't matter if it's slash attacks or if he's like jumping or resistance breaking or whatever. It's nice that it's light attack 15 instead. It could have just been more slash attack.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, to be fair though, this was the best sword for a long time, especially with like Ragnarok, because it was technically better in raw attack. It's just the problem was maxing this thing. There's like certain thresholds of equipment numbers that pity rolls are always one, but you might get 3 per roll or 4 per roll or something. This one sits in a weird spot where it's like the top end of a lower roll. So you can't like you have to. I think you have to have like 37. No, sorry. It's like 38 or 39 successful attack rolls or something out of 50 in order to max this thing, even using seals or using the
Pass, yeah.
no. The what are the things you use to give the stats flat to fix it?
Oh, the hammers.
Hammers, thank you. To hammer it up, you have to have like 37 successes, and that's just to hammer it. You have to like 40 something if you don't want to have to use hammers. It's absurdly hard to max. And this was the funny thing that back when Brian was playing, we've had him on the podcast ages ago. My friend, he's since stopped playing, but
Oh no.
he's been gone for a while. But he he famously maxed this on I think his second try. Or first or second try. He maxed the platinum mace in the same day. It was
Oh my
stupid.
god.
He maxed all of the hardest ones, and we are like, what the fuck? But anyway, this was better than most swords, generic swords, for a long time until we get like Mythgraven, and I think there's another one that came out that was better. But yeah, this is a crazy. This just came out, right? Like just for
Yeah.
this release, I didn't. I completely missed this. This is crazy.
Okay.
Uh, wow.
I
I'm EXing Thancred very soon. Holy
yeah.
shit.
Uh,
Huh.
I was telling my guilds like I got super lucky. This is back when I was streaming and like using the tickets for the Fantasy 14 banner. Like I got super lucky with the tickets and getting shards and stuff like that. Um, the second time around because I didn't pull Thancred the first time, obviously. Like who? Let's be honest, who did? Those rare few. Um, so like, but I was streaming and I was using these tickets and I got really lucky. And so I was like, all right, you guys, I have 130 tickets. This was like yesterday. I'm going to see how many shards I can get for him. And lo and behold, like within 60 tickets, I pulled him 3 times. And
I've
that
pulled him
was like,
twice already. Yeah.
yeah, like at that point, I only needed like less than 120 shards to max them out. So I just like I was done, and then I pulled an additional 55 shards for him with the other 70 or whatever tickets. So like yeah, I don't know what the deal is with me getting lucky with his shards, but maybe it's making up for Ramza. But
And his stupid face.
that stupid face. But yeah, so I maxed both Thancred and Y'shtola, obviously, and yeah, I'm looking forward to playing around with Thancred's upgrades and stuff.
Speaking of
I
maxing
think,
Thancred, let's bring this up real quick. How do you feel about people being getting him for free?
I mean, I feel pretty good about it.
So you don't think it's kind of fucked for the people who have spent probably large quantities of money in the beginning of the game and also middle of the game to get him, and then they're just
Well,
give him free later?
I think he's less of a monster now than he ever was.
But I think that's irrelevant to the fact
Is it?
that in a gotcha game, you're gonna make something super duper
Yeah.
expensive and difficult, and then you're just gonna give it for free later, like with no compensation to those who already owned it. It feels weird to me. I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah,
Uh,
honestly, like I don't think you should regret like what you spent on. Like you make the choice to spend, so
oh, of course, I'm gonna always go
uh,
personal responsibility over
yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah. But I don't
But
think this really detracts from people that went that far and like invested in him early or super early. Like I think like he's a nice pick, and can be very useful. They still have to build him. They still have to.
for half
I think it's
cost,
more. I think it's
he
more.
doesn't
Yeah.
cost double anymore.
I think it's more of an incentive to get people to spend on him, like the people that have already spent on him or whatever. Like, I think it's more of a hey, spends more on this before the anniversary or whatever. But yeah, I don't really feel too bad about it. I think the worst part is like I think they only offered like one more Lionheart replica recipe. Like where are you gonna get the like his sword at?
Wait, what do you mean? They've
I
only
haven't
offered it
seen
once.
like I haven't seen like any other recipes anywhere. Are they in like the Mog shop or something? And I just missed it. Like
Wait,
I
the
would
the farm isn't here right now.
they added another stage and there's a reward of one gunblade recipe, but it only drops the stupid bale gauntlets.
Oh no,
So it's
there's
like
recipes in the mog shop, so
okay,
you can get
thank
100 of them.
goodness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, all right, so that's not that as big of a deal. The only other thing I was gonna say was I regret making an aim gunblade because like back in the day, like this is one of the only sources of accuracy for him to use. And it was only 17 accuracy. So like I'm sitting with this +5 aim gunblade, and I would rather have a 168 assault gunblade. So I'm glad that I have access to these recipes. Um, like I said, they gave you like one recipe as a reward, so like I would be able to break it down to 2+4s and then bring it back up to a +5. But um, yeah, good to know.
I was also just checking. Y'shtola Mind Spheres do not convert to Final Fantasy 14 Mind Spheres, so you
Oh
definitely can't
no,
do that. That'd
absolutely
be
not.
crazy.
No,
Imagine maxing Thancred for Gil.
I mean it's good to point out for anybody who didn't know that already, but no,
I just tried it to double
they're
check.
carp. It's like they're in the same area as like Mont and I'm gonna say Gilgamesh, um, Gargamel. What's his Gafgarian?
Argus?
There we
Oh,
go.
Gafgarian. I was like, who the fuck are you trying to say?
The Sawzan, like these N rarity metals or spheres.
I will say, I have no idea where I got these 14 medals from. Did they give out? Did I miss a
Yeah.
compensation for people who had them already?
No, they gave it out. I think was it yesterday or today?
How much?
They gave out 40. I'm pretty sure.
I have 320.
Uh,
I mean, I've pulled. All right, so I've pulled Thancred 2 times so far on those
okay,
tickets.
that's crazy.
I got 3 drops of 10 or 15 of his shards. So like I've gotten stuff from there,
Did you finish the bingo board?
but I don't know. I finished the first 2 bingo boards.
Okay,
Were they? Oh yeah, because there were like 80 in there as well, right? And then
something.
okay, I
That's
guess
crazy.
maybe it adds up 320. But okay, well his EX is almost done then. Sick.
Nice.
Um, yeah, that's man, so much. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel. I kind of feel a little fucked by the whole Thancred thing because he
Yeah,
was a chase unit for so long.
yeah,
Like the fact that he was the whole half rate double cost thing. Like Gilgamesh is not going to be. Like it'd be like if they discounted Gilgamesh. Like they,
right.
yeah, it's.
Doesn't feel good
I
on the other
agree
side of the
that
fence.
I agree that he's not powerful. So like, yeah, give him for free. But that's the point. he hasn't been the most powerful, and he's been double this whole time for people who have pulled him before, and then there's no compensation whatsoever for the people who have spent. Like, it's again, yes, I agree. At the time, you make your own cost analysis, so I'm not gonna like bitch that much about it. Like, I am, but I like I don't think my argument necessarily. It's a completely emotional argument. It's not necessarily logical, but it sucks for sure. I saw he was given out for free, and I immediately felt like betrayed is a dramatic word, but I was like, this is kind of bullshit. Like this, all the people who have supported the
Right.
game and wailed before for him to get this unit who it was completely for fun. He's never been like number one meta, whatever. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
that's the
I don't feel
biggest
right about it.
that's the biggest impact is like in terms of his longevity, like his biggest impact was in the beginning, you know. Um, I think that's where I'm coming from. But yeah, two perspectives.
For sure. All right, let's wrap up here with these last couple things that came out. I'll start out with the kind of skippable thing here, which is Wintertide Bloomers, non-limited MR card. We could probably just stop there. But 342 HP, 116 magic, not bad for an MR card, not gonna lie.
It's sort of
Uh,
limited. Like you have to get it from the level 5 rare raid, right? Otherwise you can't get it.
oh, is that what this is? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. I did not realize that was the raid card. I just knew it was a card.
I wonder if it's
Clearly, I
I
haven't
wonder
done a
if you
lot of raids.
can I wonder if you can pick it up later. I don't know if it's possible to.
I think you can do. I'm not gonna say anything. I don't actually know.
Right, yeah.
It says not limited, which is kind of annoying. Then, if that is the case, maybe it has a shard quest. I don't know. But it gives 15% magic on bestow, 6% HP for the party, and these are all for wind units only. The party effect is missile resist 15, defense 4, interesting, and then crit evasion 15 when you max it. All right, wind main. How do you feel about this card?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Signs of Twilight is a new light card. HP 362, not bad. 146 attack, also not. It's kind of middle range. And then agility 3. Cool that we got another agility card. The actual bestowed effects, so they're pretty hefty here, and we're gonna have something to complain about in a moment. So we have the 10% attack. Okay. 10% dark resist. Actually, that's pretty good. I like that. And then for Thancred, it gives him a 20% HP. That's a lot for how much HP he has. And then for Y'shtola on the light card, she gets 20 magic attack. So it's one of those again where like it's a thematic bestowed effect, but really it's hard to justify ever putting it on that unit.
Like you might use it in arena for like the week that it's a bonus.
Like she can hold it, I guess, and then her light teammates benefit. I don't know, but party effect wise is actually pretty good. There's 35 slash resist pen as well as 13% HP and then 20% magic resist for the max bonus. This card is pretty good. How do you feel about it? I
Pretty
like it.
good.
Like I'm
Okay.
not. It's not enough to where I feel like I must pull it, but I would not feel bad having this as a tool in the toolbox because like that slash resist pen along with HP is pretty big. Um, yeah, I don't know. I like it a lot.
I think in terms of a three-man slash party, light elements, it conflicts with Sign of House Belv, which is agility and light slash attack. Um, the Flash of Insight, which is Rob's vision card with for the 50% attack, and also Sign of Shadows, which is the light attack. So like you have to weigh whether this you need slash resistance penetration more than one of those three. Like maybe you'll sacrifice like you don't really want to sacrifice the Flash of Insight one if you're running like a light evade slash team, because it gives 20 evasion. So like, are you gonna drop, sign up house belv and the agility as well as the light slash,
Probably just drop the
or
sign one, right? Like
sign up shadow for the light attack
like who cares if
35
you have
and
light attack if you can't get through the
well,
slash
well,
resist?
maybe it gives like dark resistance too. So like maybe like if you're not running up against dark teams or something, maybe you're running up against like Engelbert or Thancred or another like high slash like Kingmon or something. Like you really like this is one of those cards in my opinion that like you need to make the most of it if you're using it because you have to like there's other things that you can use instead. So but the fact that the magic resistance 20 party effects on it uh is there, like I think it makes it more competitive of a choice because it's way more relevant to build magic resistance than it is to build slash resistance penetration, in my opinion. Um, it's important to note that it's an attack card, so like if you're if you again if you're gonna use a light evade slash team, which let's be honest, that's a lot of light units are like light evade, you know, or light I mean slash units. Uh, it's since it's attack based, you're gonna want to put it on like a physical of like evade slasher. Otherwise, you're gonna miss out on a similar value of magic. Like you can't just put it on like a Jaden Elena team or something. Like you're gonna have to use like Rob or uh, like somebody else. So I think it's really good. The fact that Thancred gets another like 1160 HP, which is what the 20% adds up to, like that bumps him up to like 8 or 9k HP. Some people were talking about like getting him to like 10 to 12k, and I'm like,
Oh, I
what are
can
you?
definitely see it.
I'm like, what are you smoking? But maybe that's just because I haven't been able to get him up there.
Well, I mean, there's like the chocolate earrings, right? They give like 25% HP. Like if you're
Oh,
just
okay.
trying to
So
get his
if you're
HP up, you can do stuff
okay,
like that.
gotcha. So chocolate earrings, what is that? 25%?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
On
okay,
top
I
of
can
the high
yeah,
flat amount
so
that you get
all
for
right, I
that.
can see that instead like
I'm
instead
not
of
saying it's a good build, but I'm
yeah,
saying you
yeah,
could get
yeah,
him up there.
yeah, if you need to really push his
You could put
tankiness
what
and
Phoenix Esper gives HP percent, I think. There's
I
other
mean
ways to get up there.
going back to like the tank argument or like our debate that we had, like Thancred is not a tank in my opinion. Like he can't generate hate, so he's a bruiser, a really tanky bruiser, but bruiser nonetheless. So
Which means there's no tanks in live PvP also.
right,
Which is that's the argument that's the
yeah,
only
yeah.
part I don't like about the argument is that
Okay.
there are no tanks in
Well,
live
yeah, I mean,
PvP,
like
which
we talk all the time about bruisers versus like other comps, but we don't generally say tanks.
I guess we
But
call them
they're
walls in live PvP. That's what we
I
should
mean,
call them.
there's still tanks because of like status ailments that like confusion and charm and stuff like that. Those are affected by
We
hate.
can revisit that argument
But yeah,
sometime.
yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, in terms of this vision card, though, I mean, obviously, if you are invested in light like we all are, I would want to pick it up. But I would wait until after the anniversary to invest in it, unless you're really interested in doing well in next week's arena or something, because obviously it's going to be it's more than likely going to be like a large bonus or whatever the fuck, like getting 600 like instead of 550 for your medals. I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it.
Yeah,
It's better for
I think it's really good, and I
better
agree.
for
It's
like
not
a
just
5 team.
always using like it must be on the team, kind of like Bahamut feels like on a Magic team, or how I mean, oh man, sacrilegious. I don't know sign of House Belv is always used anymore. Ooh, we have to think about that. But
Thought you froze for a bit.
it doesn't. No. I was trying to think. I'm like, do I want to say it? I don't know if it's mandatory. Like the 15% HP is obviously very good for live PvP, but mandatory is a tough.
You said, oh, agility. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm talking about the agility. I'm thinking of things that are like mandatory. I'm like Bahamut feels mandatory on anything with like triple magic units, right? Triple magic light units. So Yuna, Elena, Jaden, like it's on the team. Uh, I don't think this falls into that category, but I do think it's very good, and it's kind of like rotational third slot. Like for my ice teams, it's usually the last 12 VC freeze S and then third card. Which will be either Fenrir or Odin or whatever, depending on the content. This would be in that kind of rotating slot for me. But
I think honestly, the one I see benefiting the most from this is actually Elena, just because like her drain evo can bump her slash resistance penetration up to like 80% for one turn. Um, Using this gives her like 75 slash res pen like all the time,
yeah,
which makes her just like even more scary. Like the only thing that would really stop her at that point is like a barrier, which she doesn't have a barrier break, or like
sure
protective
she
shell, which
does. She has a barrier break.
does she?
1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, breaks the barrier.
Right.
Basically, right? Like that ability is so insane.
Yeah, it
Like
is, and the range on it.
because it self chains, and that fourth hit hurts like a bitch, even if you hit through a barrier. So
And obviously she'll
so insane.
benefit from the magic resistance as well.
Yeah. And then I guess real quick, the survival vest, new raid item, is a cloth armor with vital, shield, and barrier versions. Now, this is not one where the shield and barrier are symmetrically balanced, so it's not like the 12-6, 6-12 kind of thing. We see 18-6, so favoring the shield over the barrier version, which is 9-12 for defense and spirit. 12 spirit's not crazy. 18 defense is decent. There's just like weird mental thing in our heads where it's like 12 isn't a lot, but 18 is significant. It's only 6% off, but or not 6%. It's only 6 off. But it's just, I mean, it's break points on gear that we see. Vital version giving 685. I don't think I'm interested. There's way better vital cloth pieces if you want HP. However, the +5 ability is increases single target resistance by 10 for self, and it's equipable by, again, anyone who can wear cloth armor. So it's not like limited to magic users or sword users or whatever else. Cool tool to have, not by any means an like must have for me. How are you feeling about it? It's like a sort of alternate to platinum armor, but not quite. Because like single target, because like barrage will hurt you more, but it's doing the same job
Right.
for like sharpshoots and stuff. It's, I don't know. I'm not like, oh my god, gotta pull, this thing's crazy, but
Right. I like having the option of like hybrid defenses, especially with all the penetration stuff that we see all the time now. Like we don't really see any single target or like resistance penetration or like AoE resistance penetration. Like there's
yep.
obviously breaks and stuff, but like I can see just similar to back in like when we were talking about elemental rings and stuff, like building up these like unexpected like defenses that haven't really had the chance to be um penetrated in the way that the normal defenses have. I like the fact that it has 18, like obviously I'm going to build a shield version of this, but the fact that it's single target res 10 I think is nice for trying to max out like single like unit resistance. Like Odin obviously is famously like the most well-known VC for single target resistance or unit resistance.
Right.
Um I know like we were talking recently about one of the class matches had like AoE resistance up like 30, I think.
Mhm.
And like Cloud and Kingmot really benefited from that because of being able to push their respective AoE resistances higher. Like I think they reached like 80 or something, 70 or 80, like before, or maybe it was after that buff. So um, it's nice to have in your toolkit, like you said, but I don't think it's really necessary to build more than one.
Yeah, it's like if you ever want to really have, like you said, stack that single target resist, cool. However, nowadays AoE resist is a lot more common, plentiful, and commonly used. So, like single target resist, just on a pure frequency basis, I think is less valuable these days. Granted, if we have some kind of AoE resist buff on a map, this is cool. You get the other half. You can kind of go just resist all damage across the board by X%. Um, but yeah, the fact that it's single target, like if this was AoE resist 10, might be actually a little more attractive. But
Uh,
yeah, it's hard.
it's
I know we
useful
already
against
have one, but
it's useful against Drainforce, I guess.
sure.
Yeah,
Bring on the Drake. No, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I've said everything I had to say about it. It's good. It's buildable, but not, don't like break your back trying to do it if you want to have like a raid week off or something. But however, the rerun items are pretty good, so there's always that to factor in. But yeah, any thoughts about any sort of anything we talked about this episode, or do you want to prep for next week?
no, yeah. I think we maybe spent a little bit more time rambling than maybe we should have, but
Probably.
uh, like what's new, right? Yeah, next week is the big, second anniversary, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, honestly, my fingers are crossed. Today's Sunday, by the way. My fingers are crossed that tomorrow we get the news that class match is Wednesday, because otherwise we're not going to get a class match for this month. So, I mean, it better fucking be here. I just wish it was. I just wish it was last week, so that we didn't have to deal with any like early um, TMR BS or sub VC BS. for anyone who isn't really prepared or expecting that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll see how. Like, let's take for granted that it's coming this week and class match week. We'll see how it progresses. I think are we starting to do Sunday or Saturday mornings?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so this is coming out a little later than normal, even though I do procrastinate and release on Saturdays, even though we record on Wednesdays, typically. But my work schedule changed, and it's a lot harder for me to commit time on evenings during weekdays to recording and making sure that we get we leave enough time to fully do our thing, not try to cut it short every night or something.
Right.
Just the way our schedules overlap. So we will likely continue recording on weekends, probably Sundays, but it may adjust based on if we have individual plans that need to rearrange. But they should be releasing by the end of Sundays now, and then before we get the updates on Mondays. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Biggest
What's that?
Sorry. So biggest impact would just be like we can't get to things like at the beginning of the new update or whatever. But like you said, like I mean, if it doesn't come out until the weekend anyways, maybe it's not that big of an impact. It's
Plus,
just
we
in
have
terms
class
of
matches.
content.
Like typically, when we be on Wednesday, be like, I think this happens on this map, but I haven't played yet because I play in the
Right.
evening, and we always record before, so we'll actually get like more ideas for class match weeks, what's kind of going on with it.
How the meta might
Run on, we
change.
would have been able to talk a little bit more about instead of like last time. We're like, yeah, we'll wait till next time because we haven't had a chance yet. And yeah, if we make any sweet calls, it's still coming out before Monday. So we're these oracles who guess things each week. If we couldn't have edited them in or something, but yeah, I think that will do it for this week. Unless you have any other thoughts.
No, thanks for tuning in as usual.
Cool. Hope you enjoyed. I'm
Or as
Zach Bro.
always,
Yeah,
I've
right.
been
It's
Daniel
almost,
Boone.
and we'll see you next time.